Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. My name is Anthony Sabale. You're watching Smart 24 TV as we do drive your business. This is the #1 business channel in East Africa, and we do bring you latest content and updates of the world of business. And we help you as a businessman to know where to put money and where money is making more money. And of course, this show is all about making more money out of our saving and getting to invest that little bit of extra income that you're earning and getting a return on your savings as well. I'm glad that you're joining us this morning. It's a Friday, and I hope you're in the mood for the close of the week and the final day of trading for this week, as of course we wind up also the month of February. And yeah, the month is moving really fast, and so is the year. Yes, the first quarter of 2022 is just shy of now 1 month and 1 week. That means a lot for us as traders. It means a lot for us as the show at financial markets, and I hope for you as an investor it does as well. You're looking now into your portfolio, where you're going to head into the next coming quarter. There's a lot, of course, coming in the last quarter of the year, in the first quarter of the year rather, as of course this also notably has many companies having a closure of their financial year or their fiscal year, and that means that the earnings or reports from the different performances of the companies are going to as well be released, and that as well counts for you as an investor. So it's a critical time of the year, and I hope you're keeping all your hands on deck. This is a time where you don't want to miss out on anything that's happening on the stock market or on the treasury bond market. My name is Anthony, but remember the show is probably brought to you by Altex East Africa. I mean, if you're not on Altex, what else are you doing? Altex East Africa is giving you something new. And now under the Zabu initiative, My Money, My Future, you can be able to buy treasury bonds using your mobile phone and using your mobile money as well. Simply dial *292# and follow the prompts as simple as ABCD, and you'll be able to register and buy some of the latest treasury bonds with as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. At the moment, Altex East Africa is, of course, regulated by the Capital Markets Authority and opens their markets at 8 a.m. and closes at 3 p.m. With Altex East Africa, we are saying you can do something new. Now let's get to dive right into the business of the stock exchanges here in Africa, starting off with Nigeria. In Nigeria, seemed things were a little bit better than elsewhere in the world, with the Nigerian Stock Exchange appreciating on their benchmark index. The all-share index in Nigeria went up 330 points, as we're going to see later on in the show there and the details. And Nairobi Securities Exchange, on the other hand, had a bloody Thursday with a loss of 0.46 points on their benchmark index as well there. And this was marking also one of the worst days this week of trading. Johannesburg Stock Exchange gained 867.77 points, continuing their rally for the week. And remember, they have been also recovering from quite a little bit of inactivity in the recent past, and that is being recovered from in this week. And this is evident, of course, of what we are seeing on the all-share index currently. And the Ghana Stock Exchange as well rose to about 12.8 points on their benchmark index. This is the Ghana Stock Exchange Consumer Index, which is the biggest index they have on the Ghana market. Coming back to Uganda and Zimbabwe gained 135.68 points on their all-share index, and things seem really good at Zimbabwe Stock Exchange as well. These are some of the biggest stock exchanges that we have on the African continent, and if you are an investor who is interested in diversification, definitely you can have a look and keep considering your options and widening your portfolio and spreading out your geographical investment as well, looking at different countries and different stock exchanges. The Uganda Securities Exchange, that also is our very principal stock exchange here in Uganda. We had a little increase in our index, with the index going up by 6.95 points, which was currently about 1.87% daily gain in the all share index. Now, the Uganda Stock Exchange was incorporated in 1997, and this year we'll probably be making 25 years of the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, this is our principal stock exchange, and it was established by government's policy of transforming the country's economy from a public to that of a private sector basis. The private stock exchange, or rather the public stock exchange, offers an organized market where buyers and sellers of securities acquire different securities by selling or buying. For example, the equities, as well as the corporate bonds and the treasury bonds and treasury bills as well. In October 2003, the Uganda Securities Exchange launched the USE All Share Index. This is what I keep mentioning here on the show. And I understand some of our viewers could be new to this, but the All Share Index really stands for what tracks the aggregate performance of all the 18 listings. We have 18 companies listed there on our stock exchange, and 8 of these are local companies, both started here and operating here in Uganda. Some of them, of course, have grown to operate in other parts of the world, but they're basically the brainchild of Ugandan mines and Ugandan soil. So they are here and they're domestically listed. 10 of these are domestically listed. Then the 8 companies are cross-listed from Kenya, mainly. As you know, when we were we had the old East African community before getting into this new one, which was revived in 1996. We had a very strong East African community back then, and I think the only stock exchange we had then was actually Nairobi. Nairobi started in 1954, so you can imagine the strong history that Nairobi has with us. So every time we talk of cross listings, and they're mainly from Nairobi, that shouldn't be a shock to you, because we have very close ties with Nairobi when it comes to the capital markets business as a nation. Now, in the year 2003, that's when we started the All Share Index, and this index is a market capitalization weighted average index, meaning we base on the market capitalization of these stocks or these listings to get to come up with the aggregate All Share Index. And to just get the math, you just simply have the market capitalization of all the listings, that is all the 18 listings. You add it up and then you divide it by a divisor. That divisor is determined by several market conditions and so on, but it's a constant. So the only thing that really keeps changing is the market capitalization. And market capitalization basically is shares outstanding times the current share price of the respective stocks. That means it's the total value of shares that is floated on the exchange. So that's how our index really works. And so every time we appreciate in the index value, it means that the value, the general value, the market capitalization of the companies is going up. And every time we see a drop in those points, it means that the market value is going down. Remember, this is not the only way we can measure an index. We can measure an index using price. They're price-weighted indices. For example, when you go on the American Stock Exchange, the Dow Jones is a price-weighted index, whereas the S&P 500 is a market capitalization weighted. I just wanted to make that clear and get to our different viewers to be on the same page. Now, apparently in 2000, we had 100 basis points on the All Share Index. And in addition, we had a USE local company index introduced later on the exchange. This index tracks only the 10 domestic listings. Of course, MTN being the most recent IPO, that is back then in 2021, when we had MTN actually get to list for the first time on the exchange. Now, in July 2015, USE implemented an automated trading system. This automated trading system is a computerized based trading system set up to automatically buy and sell securities. So way before 2015, the index, rather the Uganda Securities Exchange, used to have what we call the trading floor. And on the trading floor, we would have stockbrokers shout out different pricings, shout out different transactions that were being made at the moment. And there would be a trading manager on the floor as well who would be taking note. So it was who was had first that actually took the biggest share. So if I wanted to buy, for example, Umeme shares at 125 shillings, and at the moment they were maybe at 120, and the manager had me first, and I said, I want 125, I want 100,000 shares at 125 Ugandan shillings. And there is another person who is actually buying, or rather who is selling that same value of shares at that particular price. Then a deal would be struck, and that deal would mean I would get the shares, and then the other person would have to be credited on their account. So that's how it used to work. But that changed in 2015 when we got into an automated system that would automatically be able to link the buyers and the sellers and get to make transactions or make the deals on the exchange. This is what we are using currently. And right now, you don't need to go on the trading floor and make noise. No, you can go through your stockbroker. Your stockbroker can be working from an office on Crested Towers, for example, SBG Securities. And they're down there just to see who is buying shares, who is willing to sell. That's all. So if I'm willing to buy at a given price, someone else is willing to sell at the same volume, that's a deal. All right, and you have a deal and then it's transacted. That's exactly how we currently are operating. This also came along with a new central an improved liquidity and as well as a trade efficiency by reducing settlement days from 5 to 3. So back then on the old system, if you wanted shares to be bought, for example, today on a Friday, you'd have to wait for 5 business days, meaning literally the next Friday would be the day you probably get your shares on your account. That's how tough it was. But today, you need only 3 days, 3 business days. So if it's Friday, you're going to buy them today, and on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So by Wednesday, you should have those shares on your account. That's how it works. And so that's just a brief history of what we have been going through as a Uganda Securities Exchange. But on Thursday, the index that we have just talked about appreciated 6.95 points, which was up to about 1,214 points at the moment. At the moment also, the market capitalization of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange is valued at 20.9 trillion. Now, on Thursday, we just had 2 equities participate in trading. And this was Stanbic Bank Uganda and MTN Uganda as well. MTN Uganda recorded about 12,300 shares, and Stanbic Bank Uganda 1,047,500 shares on the trades there on the Uganda Securities Exchange on the 4th day of trading at the moment. Now, regarding the performance of the gainers and the losers, we had 7 gainers, and impressively, there were no losers this time round on the market. The gainers were mainly, and all of them, in fact, from the Nairobi Securities Exchange, cross-listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange, with Nation Media Group coming on top of the gainers at a 4.57% increase in price, up to about 453.61 Ugandan shillings per share. East African Breweries Limited also appreciated 1.67%, up to 5,167. Yes, East African Breweries is trying to actually return to more activity, though not that successful so far, but at least the price is kind of stable and above 5,000 shillings at the moment as we speak. Kenya Airways returned to 112 Ugandan shillings per share after appreciating over 0.52%. And the equity group holding stock appreciated 0.51%, up to 1,357.9. And when you look into the Centum stock, Centum appreciated 0.51%, up to 264.24 Ugandan shillings per share. And Jubilee Holdings Limited stock appreciated 0.51%, up to 5,372 Ugandan shillings per share. Now, Stanbic Bank did not have any movement in price despite the movement in volume, maintaining their price at 21 Ugandan shillings. And MTN Uganda also maintained their price at 179 Ugandan shillings per share. Now, currently, Stanbic Bank Uganda still enjoys the fifth position in terms of value on the market here in Uganda, with a total of 1.07 trillion Ugandan shillings worth of market capitalization. And this is spread out amongst 51.2 billion shares, each share valued at 21 shillings at the moment, to bring the market capitalization to 1.07 trillion that we are currently witnessing. Generally speaking about Stanbic Bank has been still maintaining its position as the most traded on stock currently on the Uganda Securities Exchange in the last 3 months. From the 21st of November to the 23rd of February, Stanbic Bank Uganda has traded a record 62.8 million shares. That's a big volume there. And these are valued at 1.42 billion Ugandan shillings at the moment. And as if that is not enough, the company's stock has been very stable, maintaining the price at least 21 shillings. Just on they had an appreciation of about 2 shillings up to 23, but that on average at 21 shillings, making them the most affordable stock amongst the financial institutions listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange. They are also some of the most dedicated dividend issuers. So you get a two-way. This price is a little bit stable, affordable. So in case of a loss, it's not that painful sometimes. And then they do issue dividends. At least for the past 2 years, they have been able to issue dividends despite the stringent, of course, regulations by Bank of Uganda recently, especially concerning the COVID-19 pandemic, to have capital reservations amongst financial institutions. Away from Stanbic Bank Uganda and the like, on average, like I mentioned, we had only 2 equities participate, a little bit of a decline in the numbers, but the data shows a 693% improvement in the turnover, all thanks to Stanbic Bank Uganda, who had the biggest volume there of over 1 million shares trading on the exchange. The turnover improved and the volume as well slightly improved. And that's, my friend, the trading on the Uganda Securities Exchange. In as far as the local company index is concerned, tracking the local stocks here in Uganda, the index did maintain its value at 273.26 points. Now, away from that, Nairobi Securities Exchange as well had some bit of trading on the 4th day of the markets here in East Africa. Now, the busiest stock exchange had 45 listed equities participating in days trading, and they ended with about 13 gainers and 24 losers on the market. The 13 gainers were led by EGADS, who had a 9.5% share price appreciation up to at least 10.95 Kenyan shillings. Now, EGADS is principally engaged in the growth and sale of coffee. And during the year ended December 31st, 2005, the area bearing coffee was about 131 hectares of coffee, and the quantity harvested was over 233 tons. So you can imagine where they are right now in 2023. Currently, they are the 52nd most valuable, meaning, of course, they are a growth enterprise, very small in value, with a value of just 352 million Kenyan shillings in market capitalization on the exchange. Now, on Thursday, they traded 1,000 shares, and these accrued about 10,950 Kenyan shillings in terms of turnover. And currently, in terms of trading, they are the 50th most traded on stock. So on average, they're not that traded on, but at least they had a one-off gain for this time round. EGADS has had a bad time on the exchange this year. In the 1 week, they have lost 0.45%, and in 4 weeks, about 3.95%, and at least in the last 3 months, 4.78% has been lost on the stock at EGADS. So this gain shouldn't be particularly an exciting one yet, unless it's maintained at a certain level, which I doubt, especially with these small cap companies and companies on the growth enterprise segment. They are quite volatile. So you won't be surprised if on Friday today, EGADS goes back down to the bottom losers. But that's not to discourage you, but to take precaution. as an investor, you shouldn't be just getting excited and be a speculative trader. I want you to be having a longer term vision and invest for the long term. The long term is always the deal breaker. It's always a big deal here on the exchange. Now, Sanlam Kenya, moving on, had also an appreciation of 7.67%, and Home Africa had an appreciation of 3.33%, whereas Car and General Kenya had about 2.9% appreciation in price. On the losing side, however, we did have Longhorn Publishers coming out at the end of the day with a 9.93% depreciation in price at exactly about 2.54 Kenyan shillings per share. Liberty Kenya Holdings also lost 5.22%, and KenGen lost about 3.82%. Now, as far as the trading is concerned, we had a surprise there with Absa Bank coming in as the biggest mover. Absa Bank traded close to over 3.02 million shares, which was the biggest volume on the market. And Safaricom came in the second place with just a little bit shy of 1 million shares at 970,000 shares that were traded on this particular day of trading. KenGen as well came in at a 623,700 shares volume, and Centrum Investments Company at about 406,700 shares that were traded. Consequent of losses on some of the big stocks here on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, we had a loss on the all-share index of 0.46 points, down to at least 126.58 points on that particular index. However, also the NSE20, tracking the top 20 companies, lost 0.63%, and the NSE25 lost at least 0.28% on the Thursday trading. Now, my friends, that's it from the stock exchanges across Africa. You can find more on our website at www.smart24tv.com, and you can also get to AFX Stock Exchange or the Uganda Securities Exchange website, or the websites of any of these companies, of any of these stocks markets that we're talking about, and get to learn more about these companies and how they can benefit you as an investor. Let's fly over to New York and have a look at Wall Street and see what happened on Thursday here at Wall Street and what we could be expecting as we wind down the week. Now, US stocks scrambled firmly, especially in the Thursday mornings on Wall Street, looking down to rebound from the 4 consecutive days of declines, especially for the S&P 500 index. The benchmark US equity index climbed 0.8%, that is the S&P 500, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average at least 120 points upwards, and the technology-heavy Nasdaq Composite advanced at least 1.1%. A batch of economic data hit the traders' desk before markets opened on Thursday, and the government's second estimates of the fourth quarter GDP was downwardly revised to 2.7% compared to the 2.9% reported last month in the preliminary reading, reflecting weaker consumer spending and a higher inflation figure in the last three months of 2022. Meanwhile, filings for unemployment insurance fell last week to at least 192,000, according to the Labor Department on Thursday. Economists surveyed by Bloomberg also expected jobless claims to be to come at least at about 200,000, and of course that's what moved the market on the US. That's it, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and I'm very excited that you're watching Smart 24 TV. A lot more is coming your way. It's just getting started. It's a Friday, and we're going into the weekend. I wish you a very lovely weekend. Remember to check out Altex East Africa before the close of today, because the markets are still open as I speak. Simply go to your phone and dial *292# and following the prompts, you will be able to buy or sell the latest treasury bonds on the East African market. We give you the deals that you can find absolutely nowhere else in East Africa. Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania coming together on one platform under the Zabu initiative. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't matter your source of income. I mean, you're starting with as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. These are some, according to economists, of the safest investments you can make out of any capital market. So get to invest with Zabu and you will not regret. With Alltex East Africa, you can do something new. There you have it, my friend. Have a lovely weekend. See you on Monday. Bye for now.